Welcome everyone to the Redesigning School Counseling webcast for renewal schools. This is our final webcast of the year, and it's about preparation for next year. After your goals are set and your activities are set, now we've got to prepare for implementing those activities, and that's what our last steps of the year are about. So the contents of this webcast will be to review the RSC beliefs and process, to look at our year-end tasks, and then to look into the online system. So let's start out with our basic review again. Again, our beliefs in RSC is that school counseling programs help students make sound choices in areas that impact academic success. And this is the impact pyramid. And again, we believe that when schools are designing guidance and counseling programs properly, that they would help students to make good choices, and then achievement would go up. So the process then is works like this. This year, in the beginning of the year, we started getting ready. We updated your steering team, we updated your advisory council, you collected new achievement data through this student surveys, did some self-studies. Then in August, we met with your advisory council, and I knew this would happen sooner or later. My low battery sign just came on, so let me plug in real quickly. There we go. You think you've thought of everything, and I forgot to plug in my computer. Okay, so in August we met with your advisory council and we updated your vision statement. For some of you that was a big rewrite, and for others of you it was just a little rewrite or none at all. Then in September, you met again with your advisory council to look at all of the choices that your advisory council believes students need to make in order to be successful at school and to prepare for successful post-secondary. So then in October, you met with your advisory council again, and you talked about expanding your resources, especially the resource of time. And then you said, okay, in reality, given how much time we have and how much funding we have, how many of all of those student choices can we tackle as priority goals? And most of you came up with 1, 2, maybe 3 of your goals that were going to be priority goals. You were really going to work on driving the data in those areas in the coming year. Then in November, we looked at, okay, what's getting in the way of those priority goals? Is there knowledge that kids are lacking, and therefore we have a need for guidance? Is there a skill that the kids are lacking, so we need to teach that through guidance activities? Or are there personal social issues that are getting in the way of kids making those choices, or are we not giving them the opportunities? So you looked at all that root cause data. You figured out why the kids weren't making the choices that we want them to make. And then in November, we came back and we said, okay, what are we going to do about it? If kids don't have that specific knowledge that they need or the skill that they need, how can we design activities that would help them gain those things? Or if kids have personal social issues that are getting in the way of them making sound choices, how do we design counseling activities or advocacy activities that would address those areas? So then today we've got our activities planned that we're going to do next year, and now we need to start just doing that final preparation. So today we're going to talk about lesson plans, writing guidance lesson plans, about developing your program calendar, your annual calendar, your individual counselor calendars, and then looking at your annual budget for next year. So let's then look at this month's tasks and this month's rubric. So I'm going to go to the online system and we'll just kind of walk through this. Okay, in the online system, after you log in, I'm logged in as demo school. There's some things we really need to check as we're getting ready to complete our work. One is on the RSC uses tab. please make sure, maybe right after the webcast, that you go to the RSC Uses tab and check to make sure that the proper buttons are selected. So if you find, and I think some of you will, that you still have this first year process tab selected, make sure you switch that to renewal and save. This tells our staff, and also if you're an Indiana school, it tells the Indiana Department of Education that you're renewing your portfolio, and if you're in an Indiana school, that you are seeking renewal for the Indiana Gold Star School Counseling Award. Then make sure you're answering these questions. Do you have Ask a Ramp? Are you seeking it? Do you have Indiana Gold Star? Are you seeking it? And if you say you are seeking it, then it's going to come up with the dates. And let's just look at that real quickly. If I say I am seeking Ask a Ramp, then it's asking me to select the date that I will be renewing, and for most of the schools it's going to be October 15th, 2015. And then does your school currently have Gold Star? No. Are you seeking it? Or actually you would be a yes. And then it would say if you're renewing, when are you going to do that? And it would be June 30th, 2014. Unless you're on the 2-year plan or 3-year plan, then you can choose a date farther out, and then make sure you're saving those. So that's really important to make sure that your portfolios get the proper reviews. You need, very important, to make sure that you've got this renewal process tab selected. Okay, so let's go then to the process tab, and we can look at the items that we're working on in the next 2 months. And I'm going to scroll down. We've done all of these steps, had all the meetings with the advisory councils, and we're ready for the preparation for implementation. So in this section, there's a webcast that explains all the different steps. And then the first thing I'd like to talk about is entering lesson plans. So I'm going to, actually I want to jump down and look at the rubric for lesson plans first. ASC a couple of years ago made some changes. In their requirements for the RAMP Award, which means that Indiana then also made changes for the Gold Star Award. And I just want to make sure that we're very clear on what lesson plans are due. So 3 academic guidance lesson plans, 3 career guidance lesson plans, 3 personal socials. And then we want to make sure that the lesson plans include the appropriate grade level, the student groups, the settings, the associated guidance indicators, that there's a summary of the activity, the time required, the lesson plan is clear and concise, includes an evaluation that describes the resources are needed, and includes citations when appropriate. So none of that is new, and really if you're renewing and you're still doing the same lessons that you did 3 years ago, your lesson plans will already be in there. So you won't have to do anything if you've not changed the lessons that you're doing. Then one thing that may be new for some of you is that there's now the requirement to have a group counseling lesson plans. And what ASC is looking for is that if you're doing a specific group, that each of the lesson plans that you would be doing with that group is submitted as part of your portfolio. So the first rubric item, a lesson plan is present for each group counseling activity. The group counseling lesson plans describe the focus of the group, they identify the number of the students participating, and they include the name of the counselor that's going to facilitate that group. These are all RAMP criteria, so we've incorporated that also into RSC. And then finally, the other requirement that may be new for some of you is to have a lesson plan that addresses a specific group of students that is experiencing an achievement gap. So the rubric item is that the Closing the Gap lesson plan targets a group of students like free and reduced or a specific ethnic group that is experiencing an achievement gap. And when you enter your lesson plan, you'll be able to indicate that this is a lesson plan specifically for that group. Now, it is possible to have a lesson plan, a guidance lesson plan that includes a lot of students, but is also targeting some of the students within that group. So for example, you might be having a group for kids that are struggling in math to help them understand, I don't know, whatever issues they have that are interfering with math. But if you know ahead of time that the majority of the students in that group are going to be free and reduced lunch students, then you can kind of tweak that whole group to make sure that it's going to address the specific needs that free and reduced lunch students may be bringing to the table, like that they're not able to come to after school tutoring because their parents are working 2 jobs and they have to go home to babysit their younger brothers and sisters. So while it's possible to have a group for a lot of students, including in this case paid lunch students, if the group, if in delivering that activity you're focusing on the specific needs of a group of students that's overrepresented within your group, that would be okay for closing the gap. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that rubric item. Let's go back and then talk about how to enter lesson plans. So I'm going to click enter, and the page that comes up shows me that I already have some lesson plans in here. These may be lesson plans that I entered 3 years ago, and maybe they're things that I'm still doing. So I would suggest that on each of them you click the edit button and just go in and read and make sure that this is still what you're doing and everything's just fine. I'm going to go back and highlight one thing. One thing that may be new for some of you is in selecting the indicators. We now have a drop-down or a pop-up window that allows you to select the indicators that guidance lesson addresses. And just as a reminder, in the numbers for the indicators, they start out with the grade levels K through 2. So if I'm in a middle school, I could just scroll forward to get to the middle school indicators. And then the second number is the guidance area. So if it's a 1, it's academic. If it's 2, it's career. If it's 3, it's personal social. So if I know that this is a career activity, I can just start scrolling up till I get to the place where the second number becomes 2, and then I can start reading the career indicators to find the ones that this lesson plan is going to address. Okay, so first step is just kind of to look at the lessons that are already there. You can sort these lessons by guidance area, you can sort them by grade level, and then notice also that the student group that you indicated when you originally entered that lesson plan is entered there too. If any of this is blank, you can just go into edit and then answer the appropriate questions, and these boxes will fill in. If it's an activity that you're no longer doing, that's really easy. You can just click the delete button and it'll go away. Okay, so now let's say that you're needing to create a new lesson plan. Maybe it's the group counseling lesson plan or it's the Closing the Gap lesson plan, but we're needing to create new ones. So you may be thinking, okay, which of my activities do I want to include lesson plans for? And we just gave you a quick link here to all of your activities. So you could just open up that report, look through and say, okay, I want to create a lesson plan for this, for your high school course plan workshop. And so then what you would do is just go into the Enter Edit and do that. I'll show you that in a sec. Another option that you have is to import lesson plans from other schools, and this is a fairly new feature in our system. If I click on this import, or this icon in the tools section, I come up with a lesson plan search tool. And let's say I knew that I wanted to write a lesson plan. I was going to do a career interest inventory. That was one of my activities, and I wanted to write a lesson plan for it. So I could just put in here the words career interest inventory and do a search and see what pops up, and we can see that there are 5 lesson plans that counselors have put in, and this could just kind of give you a starting spot. One of the things I think is interesting to look at is how many other schools have imported this lesson. So we see that this lesson called Career Interest Inventory has been imported by 15 other schools. That must be a pretty strong one. That happens to be one that I wrote, so that's nice to see that other schools are importing that. But here's one, that's been imported by 6 schools that may be more appropriate for you. So if you decide, boy, I like this, I want to import this, just import it, and then once it's imported, I'll edit it. But I can just click on Import into my school's lesson plans, and that will then import that into your lessons. So, okay, so I'm going to go back and oops, go back one more, and okay, so I refreshed this page, and you can see that now the career interest inventory is there. I've got a couple little issues here because the indicator has not been selected and the student group has not been selected, or the setting. So to clean that up, I can just go into Edit, and I can say, okay, my setting, this is going to be classroom guidance, and then I can add the indicators, and on the as I look also the targeted student groups, I can say that this is all students, or I could put in a locally defined group, and then that could say, I would define in there who that group is. Okay, so that's how to import. And then I've been kind of jumping to this, but let's just look through creating your own lesson plan. So I'm going to click Enter, and then you would just put in the title, whatever that is, select your grade levels, select your targeted students, if it's all groups, or if it's your Hispanic students or whatever the group is, the setting that this lesson will be provided in, which indicators it apply to that lesson. So kind of talked about how to do that. I'm just going to click, let's just click one, and I can close that, and you can see now that indicator has appeared up here. If that was a mistake, I can just open up those indicators and unclick it. Then a summary of the lesson. We encourage you to keep your summaries very clear but condensed, concise. You need books written here, just a what are you doing, and who's doing it. How much time is required? So you could say that this is going to take 30 minutes or 2 hours or 1 class period or whatever. And then the procedure, I would just think in that section about this being like a cookbook. If another counselor in another school were reading this, step 1, do this, step 2, do that. Or if you were ever left your school, would the new counselor be able to come in and just get the procedure and take off and do the activity? And then the evaluation is just a narrative about what are you going to count to make sure that the goals that you had for this lesson were reached. So then in the bottom section, you're listing any resources that you need. You can put in a resource. You can also enter a website. And then if you have a second resource, you can just click that and the next resource pops up. You can also upload resources, so if there's an activity sheet that you've created that you use with your students that you wouldn't mind sharing with other school counselors, you can just browse your files and then upload the file that you want to. And if you are using copyrighted materials in any way, we would prefer that you not reproduce the copyrighted materials in your lesson plans. But we definitely want you to cite any sources that you used. And then we've given you a link if you need help with the proper way to cite a resource. This is a citation generator that will help you do that. And then you can add another citation as well. Okay, and then also if there's anyone that you need to collaborate with you in order to deliver the lesson, maybe you're implementing this through a teacher advisor program, or there's community resource people that come in to help you do the lesson, we want to make sure that you've done that you've listed them. And then finally save. And then once everything is filled in, I haven't filled everything in at the top, so this is not hot yet, but once everything is filled in, this will all be hot, and then you'll click My Lesson Plan is Complete, and then also I give ASA permission to make this lesson plan available to people performing online searches for lesson plans using the RSC online system. So if you would prefer not to share your lesson plan with others, that's fine, and then just don't click that button. And then if you are sharing your lesson plan, we will automatically provide your school and your name so that anybody who is seeing your lesson plan will know that this came from Jane Doe at Demo School. But if you would also like to give counselors a chance to contact you to ask questions about your lesson, you could just click also share my contact information and then my school's phone number. And then just save, and then you're good. And again, if there's any time you ever want to take out a lesson plan, you can delete it from that front page, or you can also delete it here as well. Okay, so that is how to create a lesson plan. And then let's go back to the Preparing to Implement list in the process page. In reviewing the annual calendar, the dates on the annual calendar actually come from the activities when you entered the activities. So I'm not sure if you remember that, but up here in the previous step, when you entered your activities, one of the things you were asked to do was to create a date for when that activity would happen. And so the system has just taken all of those dates and put them into a calendar for you. For demo school, we only have a few activities entered. For your school, after you get all of your activities in, this will be quite a robust list, and it really helps people to understand that you're busy. We've had lots of schools tell us that when they shared this calendar with their administrator, that the administrators started to understand why they couldn't assign all the non-program things to their counselors, because they saw each month how busy their counselors were. Okay, so that's the calendar, and again, you don't have to do any work. It generates from the previous month. Okay, then we added this step, submitting funding proposals. If you don't have a budget for your department, for your program, one of the requirements is that you start to seek funding. So we're not sure who you're going to seek the funding from. It may be that you're going to submit a proposal to your principal, or to the community foundation, or to a business, or to your PTA. But we want to make sure that if you don't have a budget, that you would be entering your funding proposal. So, or that you would be creating your funding proposal. There will be, I see when we updated this morning, we left it off, there will be an uploader tool, so that if you don't have a button, you can upload the letter or the proposal that you wrote to seek funding. Then on the, if you do have a budget, you're going to enter the budget here, And this is pretty easy to do. You're just saying, what you're going to purchase, the College Board program, whatever it is. You're going to select the category. Is this personnel? And by personnel, we're not talking about the counselors on the personnel, but if you're hiring someone like an outside contractor to do work for you, that would be what personnel would be. Fringe benefits, contract. Oh, I'm telling you wrong. Personnel would be counselors, although most counselors don't put that in here. You're welcome to if you'd like to. Contractual services would be the independent contractors. Rental, travel registration, phone, postage, supplies. So I click this as a supply that I'm going to be using. The primary area that it's going to be used in is guidance. And then any budget notes. This could be that anything that you want to put in about that you're going to order, 3 sets at $39 each or whatever, who the vendor is, and then the amount. And then the save, and then add another budget item, and that will come up. And so you'll notice too that as I start to put in the amounts, whatever the amount is here, I'm not sure what 13 times 39 is, but let's put in 550. Notice that my total here at the bottom has changed as well, and then in whatever my next item is, as I put that in, that will go up. So we're doing all the math for you. And just make sure that you click the Save button. We have a lot of counselors, for some reason, they forget to save on this page, so click Save. Okay, so that's budget. And then on the rubric items, we've already gone over the rubric for the lesson plans, but just for the annual calendar, the budget is just that it's there. And then for the budget or the funding proposal, either one of those, that one of those is present. Okay, so that is the preparation. And then the last part are just some miscellaneous things that are required for RAMP and Gold Star. And most of these you already have finished. So you have already had advisory council meetings, you've got your agendas, probably saved in your computer. It's just a matter of uploading those. One thing is that you've had 5 advisory councils meetings, so you probably have 5 agendas, but the uploader will only allow you to upload one thing. So what counselors will do is they'll scan all 5 agendas into one PDF document and then upload that one document with all 5 agendas in it. Same thing with your advisory council meeting minutes. In there we want to enter minutes from all 5 of your meetings, and if I click on this enter, you can see here's the 5 meetings, and I'm just going to the enter, and then you've already put your minutes in there. So it's just a that hopefully that's already done. On the job description, in tools we've given you some samples. You can upload, this is an upload, so you upload the job description that's in your computer, and then there's a report there, and my guess is that when you uploaded this 3 years ago that report's already going to be there. If not, just find your job description and upload it. If it hasn't changed from 3 years ago, there's no need to upload anything. If that report is in there already and it's looking good, you don't need to make any changes. On individual counseling management agreements, that is a RAMP requirement. You can download that. That will need to be uploaded because it's dated, and we want to make sure that the information is accurate and that your principal has signed off and you've signed off. And again, that's a little 2-pager and really quick to do. Assurances statement, that is also dated, so that will need to be re-uploaded. But again, it's just a signature and a date, so very easy. Your program brochure may already be in there, so check, and if nothing's changed, if you're still using the same brochure, that's great, just use the same one. If not, upload it, or if you need to edit in your computer and then upload. Your public relations activity needs to be updated, and that can be anything that you've done in your community or school as public relations for your program. So it could be, again, a newspaper article about a presentation you did. It could be a copy of an agenda showing that you made a presentation to your school board, and you know, just anything that you've done, a staff presentation about your program, just something that you can upload at that, you know, an agenda showing you on the agenda, or a handout that you gave, or whatever would be good there. Professional development, professional association membership, that needs to be uploaded. Again, you know, nothing new. You're probably already you know, a member of ISCA or ASCA or ICAC or NACAC. So just you can upload a copy of your membership card. A lot of counselors with the publications, the print publications that come out for ASCA members, they just make a copy of the front of that publication that has the mailing label that's showing their name, that proves that they're a member of the association. So professional development, you actually could download any materials from our website to show that you've been participating in RSC, or an agenda from the ASCA conference or your state SCA conference, you know, just somehow proving that you've done professional development. Wanted to look at the narrative questions, and again, if you did this 3 years ago, for most of you, this is already going to be in there. So it would be a matter of opening the report and then just changing anything that you need to change. But let's go and look at those for a moment. There's a couple things I wanted to explain. So this is, for some of you, depending on when you did RSC last, we've kind of condensed all of this into one page. It just made it, I think, a little simpler for everybody to find. And basically what you're doing is you're just clicking each of these enter edits. If you've done this before, your description will already be in here, and if it doesn't change, that's fine. Just leave it the way it is. One thing to remember when you're entering information is, if you're making a bulleted list, to use asterisks or stars or dashes to bullet your list. The online system doesn't recognize all of the other symbols that your computer may have to do bullets, so just use asterisks or dashes. Then in some of this, I wanted to show you, let's see if I can find one, on vision statement, for example. You may find one of two things in here. You may find your own answers to these questions that you entered 3 years ago, or because we know, since you were in RSC school, we know how your vision statement was developed. So how was your vision statement developed? What you're going to find here is suggested text provided by us. We just thought that would save you some time. So we wrote in here the process that you use to create your vision statement, and then what you can do is just read it and edit it, or if you use something totally different, just take the whole thing out and put in how you developed your vision statement. Why were the various components of your vision statement included? You know, based on our work with you, we think we know what the response was, so we gave you some suggested text. But again, please read these and edit them so that to make sure that they are true statements for your school. And if you did that, you know, 3 years ago, you're going to find your words in there would have been saved. Okay, so that's it. On each of these, you're just, you know, answering quick questions, and I think you'll find in a lot of these we've given you suggested text if we thought we knew what the answer was. A lot of these questions is about the process. ASCA wanted to know, you know, how did you come up with all this stuff that you put into your plan? And so again, when we thought we knew how you did that, we put in a response for you. Okay, so let's go back. So there are the narratives, and just a reminder too that it's possible to get PGP points in Indiana, the professional growth points. If you're wanting professional growth points, there is a log that you needed to fill out. If you click this tool, that log will download. And then you can just email, attach it, or fax it to us. And if you're seeking IU credit, same thing. For both of those, what you need to do to get them is to have an approved portfolio that's either been approved through Ask-A-Ramp or Gold Star, Indiana Gold Star, and then to turn in the log to show the time that you spent working on that. So again, just download those, make sure we get them before June 1st. So, and then finally, let's look at the rubric items. And so the Advisory Council agenda, Advisory Council agendas are present. This should be 5. We'll get that changed. We made a change in that this year. Advisory Council minutes are present. The minutes are there. They contain the names of those who are present, the groups that they represent. Again, when you put the minutes in, it kind of forces you to do that. Minutes present summaries of activities and discussions, and the minutes contain references to specific people who contributed ideas during your meetings. Job description. The job description includes the counselor's qualifications, the counselor's primary functions, and their major job responsibilities. So in the individual counseling management agreement, the management agreement is present for each counselor, and let me emphasize that too. There needs to be one for each counselor. And again, our system's only going to let you upload one document, so you'll need to scan those into a PDF as one document for this agreement for each of your counselors. Assurances statements been signed by the counseling director or the lead counselor and the principal. Program brochures present. Public relations exhibit is present. Professional association evidence is present. Professional development evidence is present. And the narrative questions, all narrative questions have been answered in clear and concise terms. So that's the rubric for those activities. Okay. So when you are all finished with everything, and what a good feeling that will be, but when you're totally finished, one of the options that you have that we would really encourage you to do is to publish your school counseling program online. I'd like to show that to you. You simply click Publish Your School Counseling Program Online, and you can see that we've given you a note that publishing your school counseling program portfolio online will enable the public to view the following documents: your steering team roster, your advisory council roster, your vision statement, program goals, priority goals, program activities, and your program calendar. And right now, the demo school portfolio is published online. When you go in, it will not be your school will not be published. But I can quickly change my mind if I say, you know, I really don't want to do that. I'm just going to unpublish, and now my portfolio is not public online. But let's say I am going to publish. I can just switch it back. If you want to see an example, I can, and this is fairly new, I can just click View Published Portfolios, and here's all the schools that have published their portfolios, and I can just click on any of those, and let's just do Perry Central, and this is the page that comes up. When the public is going in, they won't get these tools on the side. They'll just see this part. But then the public could click and get the advisory council roster, and have that. They could get the vision statement, the program goals, the priority goals, and the program activities and the program calendar. So, so anybody can come in and see, here's all the activities that are going to be happening in the school. How impressive is that? And they can also click on your program calendar, and then, it shows that the counselors are busy every month. So at any rate, I think that's a really good tool for advocacy. Okay, Then, so we encourage you to do that. Trying to get back. Okay, so then the other thing that needs to happen is this. If you are in Indiana school, we need to submit your portfolio to the Department of Education. In Indiana, in addition to creating the RSC system for schools, we also have created a tool for our State Department to review the portfolios online. And so all I have to do is click this button, and that will put your portfolio in a review queue. And then in July, there are, I think there's 9 practicing school counselors who have been trained to review these portfolios, and we'll all sit down together. I'll be there as well, and I don't actually do the reviews, but I'm there in case people have any questions about terminology or about using the online system. But the reviewers on that day will start doing the review. They will pull up each of your submissions, and right next to it will be the rubric items. And then they'll go in and they'll click the rubric items that you've met, and they'll write a comment. If you've not met any of the rubric items, they'll specifically write in their comment instructions of what you need to do. When the first reviewer has finished the review, then they will indicate that they're finished with their first review, and then your portfolio will go into a queue for a second review by a different reviewer. And that reviewer will do the same thing, and if there is a point where the first reviewer and the second reviewer disagree about whether or not one of the items meets all of the rubric items, then they will talk, and they will try to convince each other that you really do meet the rubric item or you don't. If they can't come to consensus, then a third reviewer is brought in, and that reviewer basically is the tiebreaker. So that's how that works. At the end of the entire review, the second reviewer or the third reviewer will indicate that your entire portfolio either qualifies for Gold Star or does not qualify for Gold Star. And at that point, an email automatically will come from Amanda Cullen at DOE, and it's automatically just generated through our system, so it'll automatically come. That email is going to say either, oh, so sorry, your portfolio was not approved for the Gold Star award. However, if you'd like to edit these parts, we'd be happy to re-review it, and it will give you a deadline for the re-review. In the email, it will have a link that you can click that will bring up all the instructions that the reviewer gave you for any of the rubric items that you didn't meet. So right from the email it'll say, so sorry, your vision statement was not approved, here's why, and then the reviewer's comments will be in there. So you'll know exactly what you have to do. As you probably learned before, the first time or second time that you did this, it's not uncommon that a portfolio has some little minor things to fix. In all the years that we've been doing this, 180 schools, there's only been one school that just had so many things to fix that they decided to not submit. Every other school just fixed a few little things and resubmitted, and it was fine. And there are a number of schools that don't have to do any resubmit at all, and as a renewal school, you're much more likely to be one of those schools. If your whole portfolio, the entire portfolio, is approved for Gold Star, then you'll get a different email that automatically is generated from Amanda, and that email will say, that your portfolio has been approved for Gold Star, and it will give you instructions for what you need to do to have your portfolio automatically also approved for RAMP. Remember, in Indiana, if you get Gold Star, you'll automatically get RAMP, or you'll automatically qualify for RAMP. And so you can just follow those instructions as well. Finally, there's one other requirement for RAMP that I just wanted to give you a heads up about, and this will be explained in the email that you get from Amanda. But RAMP requires that you share your portfolio with your school board. So you might be thinking then about trying to get on the agenda for your August school board meeting to present your portfolio, to announce that you were approved for Gold Star and that you wanted to present your portfolio. And then when you're doing your RAMP final questions, you'll be able to say, yes, I presented my portfolio to my school board. So, okay, I think that is it. Let me go back to the PowerPoint and see if there's anything I've missed, but I think we have covered it all. Yeah, the deadline for the submission of the portfolio for Indiana is June 30th. For schools outside of Indiana, the deadline for RAMP is October 15th, and what you need to do is just follow ASCA's instructions. So if you go on the ASCA webpage and just follow their instructions for completing the application for the RAMP award. And then also we talked about the deadlines for, or the submitting the logs to ASA for the IU credit or the professional growth points. And that if you're out of state and you're interested in 3 graduate credits from IU, that we can do that as well. That deadline is June 1st. Okay, then very quickly, just looking ahead of what's coming. So in RSC and in Gold Star and in RAMP, you renew your criteria every 3 years. So basically, I like to look at it as 1 year on, 2 years off, and then the next year on. So you did the training in 13-14. That means that in 14-15 it's going to be an off year for you. We will have at the end of next school year a very quick annual update for you to do. We've had a lot of schools that have started meeting annually with their advisory councils, and so we just want to each year give you some tools to have that quick annual meeting with your advisory council. So then the following year, 15-16, will be the second off year, and again at the end of that year we'll do one quick webinar so that you can do your annual update with your advisory council. And then the next year will be the on year. So in 16-17 you'll be participating in the renewal webinars again, and then resubmitting your portfolio to renew your Gold Star Award or your ASCA RAMP Award in the summer of 2017. So it's always 1 year on, 2 years off, next year on. Okay, so I'm going to see if anyone has any questions, and let's just open this up while we're recording so that everybody can benefit. And let me unmute Kelly. I see you have a question here. Kelly, question that we can answer? Kelly? Okay, let me see if I can. Okay. Kelly says, won't we be renewing our RAMP on October 15, 2014? That is accurate. Let me go back and see, did I mess up a... Did I miss a date here? Yes, but it is wherever I said that, if I didn't say 2014, yes, you'll be renewing your RAMP. If you went through the webinar series with us this school year, so 13-14, you would be renewing RAMP in the fall of 2014. And in Indiana, it all happens in the summer. We do it all at once. So in Indiana, the deadline is for all of your work is still June 30th, because you get the RAMP through the Gold Star Award. Okay, let's see. Here's another question from Jen. Good question, Kelly. Thank you for asking that. Jen?
Hi, Sue. We had a weird situation where our survey data from last year was not complete. We only had like 87 students respond out of 800. And so we were given the okay from Amanda to redo our survey this spring. And the only problem that I'm seeing is that my survey data, like my program goals report and things, those are all reflecting last year's survey data. So somehow I need to clear it so that the 2014 data can be pulled over. And I don't think I have the access to do that, it looks like.
Yeah, because in the timing of all this, because you guys worked on goals prior to the opening of the 2014 survey, we had to use the most recent survey data that you had, which was your 2013 data. So I would suggest that even with your, even though the numbers were small, that anytime you have above 30 students, you can start to make conclusions from that data. So I'm not so concerned that you didn't survey all of your students last year. I would suggest that you go ahead and do your goal setting and everything using the small number of surveys that you have from 2013. You'll be looking at percentages rather than numbers, so that really should be okay. That said, we always love it when every student in the building surveys, because it makes your data so much more reliable. So when we talked about, let me go to that page actually, when we talked about these annual updates, in next summer, when you're doing your annual update, we'll want to pull the most recent survey data. And at that point, if your most recent survey data is the 2014 survey, that would be wonderful. Even if you wanted to, even if you wanted to do that now, you could just look at the 2014 survey and just make sure that your goals still make sense. I'm not able to change the online system until we do a formal turnover, and that happens in the summer. It won't happen until after all the portfolios are due, because we can't turn over one school without turning over everybody's schools. So we're kind of limited there. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you and see. Does that make sense, Jen? I kind of rambled there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. We actually reconvened I gave our teachers a really small window in March to redo the survey.
Okay.
And we had like 500 students participate, so it was a lot better. And we reconvened our advisory council to go over that data, and
oh,
that's
wonderful.
where we made our goals. So
yeah, that's great. So it's just in the online system, until we turn it over, you're going to see the 2013 data. And then this summer, sometime in July or probably August, no, it will definitely be August, because we want to have all the reviews done. We'll turn over the system, and then in your data, the system will drop a year and add a year, and so it'll add the 2014.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good question. Okay. I'm just going to real quickly. Heather, any questions from you? We good?
No, I think I'm good. Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Well, listen, I'd like to just thank everybody for participating in these webinars this year, for all the work that you've done to update your school counseling program, for the effort that you've put in to make it data-driven so that you're really meeting the needs of your students and not just implementing activities based on a hunch that that's what kids need. I'm really looking forward to working with the reviewers and watching them as they review your plans. I know they're going to be wildly excited about all the fantastic work you guys have done. So as always, if you have questions, please feel free to give us a call. Either, we'll be working all summer, so if you're working at the last minute to get some things done, please feel free to give us a call. So I think that's it, and thank you, and everybody have wonderful summers, and I hope you just feel an immense feeling of satisfaction when you complete that last task and know that you are ready to renew your programs. Thank you so much.